Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Welcome back to the Heart-Led Business Show, where we shine a light on heartfelt entrepreneurs. And today we're joined by John Graham Harper, the dynamic CEO of Lumaflex and a champion of red light therapy. From conquering injuries in rugby and CrossFit to revolutionizing recovery, John's mission sparkles with purpose, helping individuals embrace health without the fuss of pharmaceuticals. Buckle up as we dive into the illuminating journey of a heart-led business powerhouse. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to share. You've got a wonderful podcast here, a very professional studio, I might say. You build trust with your audience. The audience loves your content. So the opportunity to be on your platform and access to your audience is very much appreciated.
No problem. I'm actually really excited about our conversation today. We don't get a lot of manufacturing on the show, so it's always good to get a kind of a different perspective on heart-led businesses. But of course, you came out of the health and wellness industry anyway, and you kind of support that with your red light therapy. So I think this will be a really cool conversation. So I'm really excited. But I always like to ask the first question, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
Yeah, I mean, from the name of your show, the Heart-Led Business, the way I read that is like a passion-based business. And I've talked a lot about passion-based businesses in my past because for me, anything that I do myself, any kind of business or any project or venture, whatever it is, big or small, and then of course, right now it's Lumaflex, has always been a passion-based business. It's been a business that wakes me up out of bed by itself. I don't have to motivate myself to do it. And I've always in my life, because I've had a lot of failures, and I've looked at people that have done businesses where they just care about the money or the day's task. And I see, wow, you do have more options. You do have more. It seems like you got maybe a bit more financial security. And I've always wondered, I should try that, but I've never been able to successfully try it because I get bored and I'm like, I just gravitate away from it. Like my energy just goes somewhere else. I just don't answer the phone or I don't show up. And I'm just like, well, I guess my heart wasn't in that. Yeah, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, I think.
Yeah. That's a great definition. You didn't say keep you up at night, but wakes you up in the morning energized.
Yes, very well put. Because I do stay up. I remember like when I was a personal trainer, I remember staying up at night thinking about my clients. Like trying to hack their psychology. How can I motivate them to achieve more? I remember, and some clients who were having difficulty, like the weight loss or with people's opinion of them, I remember I would toss and turn at night just thinking about them. And at that time, because I was younger, I never thought like, wow, this is strange. Because if your heart isn't in it, you don't care. You show up, you do your time, and you're like, hey, whatever. I'll see you 6:00 on Monday, ready for your session. Bye. But for me, I was always like, just something inside of me wanted to do a little bit extra. And I was like, how can I change the way that I'm speaking to them? Or maybe I should wear a different color shirt, or maybe I should take them outside and train them outside. Or maybe I can trick them into, I would always go through these scenarios. And I remember a couple of clients. Yeah, I remember I'm picturing them in my head right now. Ones that would just make me toss and turn because because fitness is something, it's like physical stress. And the people that have mental stress from family or business, you're telling them, pay me. Number one, you got to pay me. And then number two, you have to you're paying for stress. You're not paying me to be your friend or to massage you, or you're paying me to help you burn calories. So it's like you're paying for torture. And I was so perplexed by this. I was like, for me, I was like, I couldn't see myself doing that. Of course, now later years competing, I can see the value of coaching if it's done right with that right motivation. But I was always trying to motivate them in a way to where they really, like they got results and they had fun doing it. It wasn't like, When's the session over? But yeah, I remember that. I learned a lot in personal training because you learn people, you learn like psychology, what makes people tick, what resonates with people. How do you train someone who just had a divorce, is in a workspace where the woman who like her husband cheated on is in the workspace and she has to deal with that and she lets it all out at the session. And you're also like, okay, I'll list, like, I'm the one you can share your burdens with, but then we also need to burn calories. And you're telling them, come on, do 10 more, do 10 more. But you're trying to say it in a soft voice so you don't trigger something from this terrible experience she had. I remember this client, one client specifically. And then like in the other side, it's a young guy who is like, John, I need to have abs and I need them now. I need to have abs now. What he's saying is, I want to be confident. I want to be out there. I want to be able to meet somebody that I love, and I want to seal the deal, kind of thing. I can read that, but he's saying, "Oh, come on, I want to get abs." But then he's also going out and he's partying and he's drinking. For you, very important is social life, and you want that body to add as a component to the social life. Put some guidelines there, but he wants to feel confident and empowered. Oh no, John, let me take you out. It's on me. I'll take you out to the club. Okay. I remember
I'm good
all
with
these
that.
characters, and you learn how to deal with them. And I've learned so much from that.
What about you'd mentioned that you've had a lot of failures in business. So can you recant a few of those and why you think that you may have failed?
Yeah, like having a passion-based business, I think if you aren't very inclined to numbers or details, as I was in my past, it's an obvious thing that's going to happen is that the business isn't going to run well. And that's something I had to learn in my later years up till now. And I'm still learning. Obviously, I'm still learning. I used to open gym businesses. And gym businesses, even to this day, I think most gym businesses are all passion-based businesses. There's a guy that has a gym, a CrossFit gym near the office in Miami. And I walk by this gym every time I go to the gym that I go to, which is right next to it, which is a boxing gym, because boxing is my big passion. And that guy, I see him there every day. He has to wake up at 6 o'clock, open the door, welcome everyone in. He has to stay fit himself. And I look at that guy and and he yells out, come on, John, keep going. He's got this energy he sends out to me and I send it back to him. Yeah, keep it up, brother. I just look at that guy and I'm just thinking, taking nothing away from awesome gentleman, like he's changing people's lives. It's great, but it really is tough on you because all the responsibilities on you. And most importantly, how do you scale? You have the fixed costs, you got rent, you got staffing, right? What if you get sick, right? What if you can't show up? What if all your clients are like, oh, we don't like the new trainer, we want you back. And you're like, well, I'm trying to deal with a death in the family, or I've got legal issues I need to deal with. There's so much pressure on you that it's something that I feel like fitness people, we lay in bed and we always want to scale. And we start off as a trainer, or now it's like a fitness influencer. All this great feedback from clients. They say, oh, you're so awesome. You're such a great motivator. Oh, John, I really rely on you. You get all this great validation. And then you go, you know what? I want to open up a gym. I want to do this times 100. And that's kind of, and every fitness person, I just want to have my own gym. I want to make it exactly as I want. I want to get the machines that I like. And I remember telling myself when I would open the gym, I said, even if no one comes to the gym, I'll just use it for myself. I remember I would have this somehow thinking that the lights would stay on, the doors would stay open, and I could just train there in my own little happy place. It doesn't really work like that. Like, you have to be very selective about the equipment. You have to tailor the gym to females, because if you get females, you get males by default. If you tailor the gym towards males, women are like, no, this is not for me.
Yeah,
So for a male, you have to take this into account with your branding, soften it up. Don't crowd the gym with too much equipment that isn't used, or you don't get the ROI on that space. You're like, why am I buying a calf machine? Only I use that. Like, literally all 90% of the clients do not ask for it and don't use it. Why did I buy a calf machine? Probably could have used that to buy, like, to help with the showers or the locker room, right? And those sort of things. Is I went into the gym business with that whole, I want this, like a kid in a candy store. And at the end, I started to realize, oh yeah, rent is overdue. Staff is asking when are they going to get paid. I'm the one waking up at 6 a.m. to unlock the door, and I'm tired because I just finished my last session at 10 because some guy flew in from Dubai and I want a session now. And then you start realizing like, oh, welcome to the business world. There's a place to have your passion, but you need to have that. You need to have discipline. You need to crunch them. What makes sense? What is ROI? What makes sense to make this last? We want to keep the doors open. I want to keep doing this, but it took a long time to learn that.
I opened my gym, and it was very similar to what you're exactly describing. So it must be something in our DNA that says, oh, we have to have that very specialized piece of equipment that we only that we think everybody needs, but nobody really needs. Or like what I did was I really spent a lot of money on the bathrooms and had really nice tile put down. And I was like, I'm renting this place. And why am I putting all this money into things that people don't really pay attention? Like they might say, oh, that's a nice bathroom, but they don't care if it's going to be sandstone or marble or tile.
That's exactly right. You really need to
So
take a step back and be like, is this my dream, my little happy place? Am I picturing the gym that is owned by like a group, like 24 hours or Gold's Gym, where it's a completely different business model and they have a completely different like roadmap, different strategy. They have a board, they have a group, and it's just me. And I'm saying, I want my own Gold's Gym. Whereas I'm like, well, maybe I cut the equipment spend in half. Maybe I think about elevating personal training. Maybe I recruit personal trainers, work on that side of it, than having this people just walk in and trying to sell memberships. I remember one Brazilian lady. It was so funny. It was one of those you slap in the face of the business world. As I'm this young kid in the gym, look at what I made, beautiful. Oh, customer walks in the door. She comes in, and I remember she tells me, she goes, John, I only want to use the treadmill. And I'm looking at like all this equipment that I bought. So I only want to use the treadmill. So do you have a membership option that's cheaper just for the treadmill? I remember thinking, this is the customer like feedback that's coming. And I was like, that makes no sense. If I go to Starbucks and I say, oh, like I'll provide my own water, can I just buy the coffee grind? I'm thinking to the lady, like, I need this membership. How can I twist her brain? And I think I ended up just giving her a deal. And then of course she didn't just use the treadmill. She walked off and used whatever she wanted. But it was a good lesson.
And so many purpose-led and heart-led business owners, I think, go through that same thing because it's what we love and it's what keeps us going. And we don't think about the customer as well. But let's shift gears now. So what got you into red light therapy in your current business?
So as a fitness professional, right, going from training to master training, and then I started doing like in the early days of, I think it was called, there was like video content back in like the P90X era where video content was becoming famous. So I went into that and I started doing a workout series. I then went into fitness AI. Through all of this, I wanted to look the part, practice what you preach kind of thing.
Right.
And it was like the little ego in my head saying, hey, you've got an edge because you're fit and most importantly, you're competitive. So I competed throughout that whole time just to make sure that my profile was intact. Like I put in all this effort, opening all these gyms, and people are like, oh, I don't want to be the guy that just gets lazy. I want to be oh, that's the guy, he's competing and he has a gym. It's like a good way to get a sale or to get interest, to get exposure. So rugby was my main sport that I played for quite a long time. And then 2 shoulder injuries and a left knee injury took me out of rugby. And I was that yes man. When you're a yes man, you just yes to everything. Yes. And I prided myself on being, I guess that was another ego thing, right? Like I just saying yes to everything. And I remember a friend of mine, a Dutch, he was a designer, an architect. And he was exploring competing in boxing. And I remember flying in to see him. I remember we went to Dubai together. It's the first time I've been to Dubai was with him. And I remember just toying with the idea, I guess to just one up him, I was like, oh, I'm going to do the competition. I'm going to box too. I'll be a boxer. And I just raced into this fight. And throughout all the gyms that I built, I always had an MMA side. I always had a boxing side. So
Oh,
I would
cool.
always do the classes of the coaches that I had. So I was fairly good. Like I wasn't just something to put on a screen, but I wasn't a
Nice.
disaster. And I remember, I jumped into this boxing session, and then I won my first fight, and then I was like, that's it, heavyweight champion, here I come. And I got this idea, like, that's it. All roads lead to John being a heavyweight champion. And I got really into boxing, and I liked boxing because you can see your opponent.
Mhm.
There's obviously the guys trying to take your head off, but with rugby, frustrating thing about it wasn't always the big boys that would hurt me. It was the little guys that would trip me, that would catch me off
Mhm.
guard. Like I'd be receiving a ball, and I would go in, and he would trip me, and my own weight was usually the
Oh,
thing that would create the injury. So
yeah.
there's a lot of uncertainty with rugby. It's very fast, and you have to be nimble. And some of the smaller guys, they're very good at chopping down the big guys at certain times when you're not looking. Whereas with boxing, you're like, I see the guy, I see his hands. I got an option. I can defend. I can go back. It just seemed like a more like it was working in my favor. I could manage like, manage the stress of it best. But after fighting for it was about 4 years, I started to get very severe headaches. I remember my wife getting very concerned, and she got me into to have a checkup, and they found a tumor in my head. Then
Oof.
he was saying, like, I was like, how did this tumor happen? She said, have you ever been in a car accident? I was like, no. Have you ever had like a very serious fall? Was it? And then I said, well, I'm boxing. And he said, well, yeah, don't box because that's creating trauma in your head. And it's created this tumor. And the tumor was about the size of my thumb. It was about that big. And he
Oh,
said, you have 11 months to plan the surgery, or the tumor is going to grow into your brain, which is going to be very dangerous for you. You potentially could die if it grows too deep, but also be very hard to use this microsurgery to get it out. It'd be very difficult to take it out with a full piece. Down a bit. Like my wife and I now, we're very much into the way of the Tao, this yin and yang.
mhm.
And she's very, like her frequency is very mellow. We play off well with each other. Like I kick the
Yeah.
door down, I get the deal, and she does like the contract. So
Smooths it out.
it's worked well. But I needed to adopt a more collected way of behaving, or else obviously my health and potentially my life could be at risk. So that's where I deloaded a lot. And with her, bless her heart, she actually was the one that introduced me into red light therapy for these
Oh,
injuries. So even for injuries, as I was recovering and injuries would flare up throughout this whole time, she would push me onto red light therapy. And I remember she bought this lamp for me. And it was this lamp that is still quite common in medical. Like in some hospitals, I've seen the lamp. It maybe it's been colored white, or like has a nice finish on it, but it's still the same design, the same technology. But it's not so user friendly. It's as a lamp, you would imagine, has a very large weighted base. You have to
yeah.
like wiggle it around the house. And I remember she'd say, aim at the pain 20 minutes before bed. And the bulb was it was a red bulb that would get very hot. And I was like, okay, red light therapy. I remember the beginning thinking, oh, it's like feng shui medicine. Like I'll just do it to appease her. And I remember the heat of the lamp, it would get so hot that I would play this dance game where, like, the injury, I'd move it and I'd have the heat. And okay, it's too hot. And I would go up and down and try to get, because I thought the heat is what it is. Because my wife being
Uh,
Chinese, Asians
yeah.
believe in heat therapy,
Heat.
whereas in the
Yeah.
West, we use cold therapy for inflammation. Yeah. And I remember the aha moment was my left knee. That was when I was like, what this, it really triggered an interest in red light therapy, because I remember getting very serious about my knee, doing the treatments 20 minutes a day. After about a week, I didn't have pain in my knee. And the knee was something that was always painful. I would sit in a car, like in a taxi or in a plane. And if I had my knee at a 45-degree angle, it would always hurt. It would
Oof.
it would unbearably painful. Like I would push my leg into the car seat or the seat in front of me to try to stretch it out. And I would
Mhm.
have this like heat cream, and I would massage my knee
Sorry.
because it would just get so painful just being in this position. And I
Wow.
remember after a week, I didn't have that. And then I remember after about another week, I just stopped using it on my knee. I was like, we're done. I don't need this anymore. And since
Wow.
then, my knees that knee has never acted up. Never. It's funny, like there's so many times when it was something I dealt with for years that I just thought, that's me. It's my knee. Like, I've got that bad knee. I'm going to be like those old uncles that are like, oh, my back. I just thought that was it. And then fast forward 7 years, I started development. It took about 3 years to develop the first
Wow.
Lumaflex version. And we
Wow.
are coming up to our anniversary in 10 days. 10 days from today is our anniversary when we launched in Miami. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
How
that's
many
kind of
years?
that's 2 years launched and almost 3 years in development.
Wow, that's amazing. And so the red light therapy, like obviously for those 3 years, that's really passion based, right? Because you're not
Yeah,
selling anything at that point.
that's good.
What kept you going other than the passion for building a technology that's going to really help people?
It's this motivation, and you're visualizing in the future, creating something cool. Because my wife has asked me this a lot. She's, everyone has their thing. What is it? It's like
Right.
child trauma, or is it like, are you in a race, or do you want to beat your childhood friend? Or is it like this friendly competition? Is it like your brothers? And for me, it's this thing where, like, I've always had this thing inside me where I always saw myself as doing something very impactful, like
Yep.
creating something and having this legacy. I did that, this legacy thing. And I think it was, and a lot of those feelings, especially when you're at night, it's the end of the day and you've done some development work and you just let your mind wander and you visualize what's coming. I don't know what it is, but I get really excited about that. If something starts to go the right way, I immediately create the story in my head of what's coming, of what's happened. That's
Yep.
very much, and then the next day I'm like out of bed and I try to action that
Right.
scenario that I pictured out.
I'm sure if you were only motivated by the profit and building just a business or profit, that probably would not have happened.
Yeah, I think because I'm so bad with numbers and I have wonderful trusted people to take care of the numbers, I don't know what it means. Like when someone back in the day, like this could mean your company could go IPO. I was like, well, what would really change? I'm not going to go buy a jet or a car that is like a fancy car. I don't really have it's not really, I don't equate. I don't know what I would do with it. I'm not picturing myself in that. I'm more picturing myself like giving a speech and everybody clapping. That's the well done, John, you did good kind of thing. That's what I see. When I'm driving, I remember a friend of mine, he had a really nice Porsche and he was like, here, borrow it. Take the wife on a weekend, go to the beach. And I remember after the weekend, I was bored with it. I was like, what happens now with it? I was like, I didn't know what was next. I was like, is there something supposed to happen? I'm over that. I'm okay. And he was like, do you want to borrow it again? I was like, no, you can't fit anything in it. It's too small.
That's serious. Wow. Wow. So you mentioned that that you're not very good with numbers, but you have a good trusted staff around you. Is
Yeah.
that like one of your big pieces of advice for other purpose-led and heart-led business owners is if they're not good at the numbers, that either get good at it or get some people around you that are good at it?
100%. Yeah. I'm very much a team person. I've noticed that about me. Like the funnest thing I like to do is build team, then build a company, then build a product. But a team thing is very much inside me. Like I always want a team. And we all have like our team meetings. We all pump each other up and we're all like learning from each other. I empower them. They respect me and have this back and forth thing. I'll definitely hire people that are smarter than you. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like without a shadow of a doubt. And then
Yeah.
if you make them, and they don't have anything to worry about. I'm like, I'm not in this to scam anyone, and certainly not you. At the end of the day, love and connection is what is the most valuable thing for people. It's definitely a human need. So if people have that and they have camaraderie in the workspace, you can get incredible things done. Like just this week, there's some days where everybody is just keep going. When you have that and everyone leaves the office, and then what you do is at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, you take everyone on a team. Like I love doing that team building events where you go to the beach, you go out with some nice food, and then you gave like a certificate, like best, because I'll ask everyone in the whole team, I'll say, pick somebody who you nominate has done the best in the year. So they all pick. and we just see who has the most names. So it's like
Oh,
we as a team, we all decide, and then he gets to go up and stand on stage and get this little award. And once he's done that, his output is more than double. He crushes it. And then you're like,
yeah.
it's so validating to have that he's not thinking, how can I use this to my advantage? He doesn't think this. We're just like, no, I want to do that again. I want to just outperform myself and do it again. So I think like psychology definitely plays a lot into it. Being humble is
Yeah.
an important thing.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that first in terms of building the team first and then building the business around the team. And it totally makes sense because then you have the firm culture and you don't have
Yeah.
to go through the trial and error with people that aren't a culture fit. And it sounds like you're finding people that are motivated by that achievement and not necessarily motivated by the money aspect.
Yeah.
And so when you give the rewards and the accolades, that they're like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And the money's a good thing. I mean, it's a nice bonus, but it's that achievement, that certainty, that connection, and that love that really keeps them going.
Even people that if people are driven, they have a passion that do, it's very difficult to find those people. And
Yep.
everyone who has that will have down days. They'll say, we had a problem in the family. I'm now responsible. I need to cover this cost, or they'll have financial issues. Everyone has these financial issues. And so you have to expect that as well. So it's like, as long as they know, like, all I got to do is show up and do the best thing I can, and I'm going to be okay. Everyone will have these sort of fluctuating points. It's very hard to have a group of people all in it for don't worry, we're here to change the world. It's, just wait until like you get a knock on your door and you're like, you've got a
Yeah.
problem. And then it's, okay, sorry, I don't think I can show up. That's what I told you.
And when you're hiring the right people based on your purpose and aligned values, that it's easier, like for them to show up as fully as they
Nice.
can. And if you do you give them grace for as much time as you need. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Like I've always thought about like businesses that say, I mean, I can't think of one in particular. And of course, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but like some business that is not necessarily an honorable business. If it's selling like an insurance policy, which doesn't favor the person, I was always wondering, like, how do you, because for me, if someone is in it for just the money, I'm like, in the business that we're in with the testimonials that we're getting these people, it's a very powerful thing. Every
Yeah.
human out there, they'll start to shift over to be like, wow, I like this feeling of being part of this company that's doing this nice change. But if you have a company where you're not actually doing that, it's hard to shift people, because I do pride myself. Like I say, oh, I know all you're thinking about is clocking in, clocking out. And I'm like, just watch, wait, give me 2 weeks and I start like planting seeds.
A lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. In a profit-led business, all you have to go by then is the cash. And I think about Wolf of Wall Street, the boiler room type of operations where they're just dialing for dollars and it's like this grind, but all you can give them is more money to make them happy. There's no purpose necessarily behind it. Love that, John. I can't believe that our time has gone by so quickly. So how can people learn more about Lumaflex and you and all the great stuff that you're doing?
Lumaflex.com, Luma light and flex as in flexible. We've
Okay.
recently won our 9th award. So we've
Wow.
got more awards than any other red light therapy company, and we're nominated for the 10th. I wanted to close the year with a number 10 award. We're a flexible panel. Got one right here. This is my personal one. And I wanted it to be like an on-the-go red light therapy device, just in your bag, use on the go anytime. I don't take anything away from big devices. They have their use case, their location fixed. This is the one you take with you wherever you're going. And then for me personally, John Graham Fitness on my IG is usually for a lot of comms. Like I do a lot of influencer communication there. A lot of people reach out there, and then we move to email or something. So feel free to reach out, say hi, and say, tell us about your heart-led business. When are you starting?
I'm geeking out here a little bit on the red light. Is that both at the 630 and the near infrared as well?
Yeah, 630, 850 nanometers for the Essential and the Body Pro. Exactly the same in terms of treatment. This is for in-clinic use. Essential is the take-home retail one. So this one,
Okay.
as it's IP67 with a spare battery, the goal, my North Star, is to actually introduce it into the military, to have it as a device. So I need like a very durable, portable, pressure tested, environment tested, something that's I'm shooting for. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good luck on that. Cool. Well, John, thank you again so much for spending your time with us. And I certainly appreciate it. I know our audience appreciates it as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share. Lots of mistakes. It's got to go somewhere. Don't make those same mistakes, or do
That's right.
learn from it and enjoy it.
I like to learn from others. That's
That's
easier.
it. Well said. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. And thank you, listeners, for watching and listening to the show today. But we really do appreciate it. So make sure you're checking out everything that John is doing. We're going to link all that up into the show notes. So make sure you're going down there and checking it out. And while you're down there in the show notes, I think there's a review button somewhere around there. So if you could do me a favor and give the show a rating and review. If it's less than 5 stars, tell me first. But if it's 5 stars, go ahead. So I really appreciate that. And until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.